This is one of those. They beat them up $40. I can't put that in.
I think those
Might
five.
be different than our family basketball. Get over it. Stevens.
Everybody ready to
Last night I thought Roy was going to bring. You see that?
I heard he got so red.
Are you already here? Did you come down? David. Stop this. That's what I thought.
Mayor, you got thought you wanted to just put rock and go do it. I'll take this. Let's find out. Maybe that may be my misunderstanding. Let's find out.
This is all.
It's gotta be.
Huh? Oh, yeah. Still doing good. Tough happens. You do a lot of things. You do a lot of things. I understand too. Not on Church Street or any church, any street.
You know, school.
And it's just bad
Paul, yell.
I see you.
Be gone by tomorrow. Morning, how you doing tonight? All right.
I thought he was getting ready for Christmas here, getting an early start with Santa.
Hey, how you doing?
Just shows you how communication with like
How did Dale's wife do that? How did Dale's
Yeah, well, they can't do it either. Not big plan for a routine. Yeah, with
It must be right after he leaves to go out of town.
yeah. Y'all come on over, it'll be fine.
Good evening. We'll go ahead and call the Burlington City Council November 20th, 2012 meeting to order. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome you here, and hopefully you will return. This time I would ask that you turn off all electronic devices. I'd like to call on Councilmember Bob Ward for tonight's invocation.
Let us pray. As we enter this season of Thanksgiving, and as we assemble to do the business of the citizens of our city, we ask that we be given wisdom, insight, and understanding so that our efforts might further the interest not only of our citizens, but all people. And we ask that all who are gathered here tonight will be open-minded and fair and accord each other respect when we have sincere differences of opinion. And we ask that all of our deliberations and decisions be guided by the highest standards of ethics and by the laws of our city, state, and country. We ask these things for the well-being of our citizens and all people. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. This time I would recognize City Clerk Renee Ward for the Code of Ethics.
Members of council, it is my responsibility to remind you of your duty to avoid conflicts of interest and matters that are before us. At this time, I ask if there are any potential conflicts concerning tonight's agenda items.
None.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. A, November 5th, 2012 work session. B, November 6th, 2012 city-county meeting.
Move to approve the minutes for November 5th and November 6th.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Adoption of the agenda.
Move we adopt the agenda as written.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda. These items are typically non-controversial. If anyone has any questions about the following items, please let us know. Item 1A, to authorize 2 investment accounts at American National Bank and to authorize the city manager, director of administrative services, and financial director as signers on those accounts, and to authorize the city clerk to attest the 2 resolutions. B, to approve the following traffic commission recommendations. These are spelled out in your agenda. C, Budget Amendment 2013-23, HVAC at Belmont Street, spelled out in your agenda.
Move we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Next item on the agenda is a public hearing. Public hearing 2. A public hearing has been scheduled to consider an amendment to the city's smoking ordinance, section 22-32. At this time, I'd recognize Mr. Charles Bateman. Welcome, Mr. Bateman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. At the work session earlier this month, the council considered a proposal to add a new classification to the list of places where by city ordinance smoking is prohibited. Specifically, the council asked us to address the problem of restaurants who might be in multi-tenant buildings under common ownership, who are often victimized by smoking that migrates from adjacent businesses into their business. And as you know, by state law, smoking is not allowed in restaurants. Pursuant to the authority granted to the city under the general statutes, I have drafted and presented you for your consideration a new classification to be added to the existing section 22-32 of the Burlington Code, which would prohibit smoking in enclosed areas to which the public is invited or allowed when such enclosed areas are located within a building or structure under one ownership, which houses multiple tenants or occupancies, and such enclosed area or business is located immediately adjacent to a restaurant located within the same structure. I think at that time, Mayor, you'd indicated that you'd like to advertise a public hearing to consider this proposal.
That is correct. Thank you, Mr. Bateman. We'll remind you this is a public hearing. If you have comments that you would like to make, now is the time to make the comment. So we'll start on the left side here. Anyone on the left side that would like to speak? If you'd come forward, state your name and address. Just come forward, please. Thank you. And this takes the place, I noticed, where you signed up at public comment period. That's fine, not a problem.
Well, good evening, Mayor Wall and members of the council. My name's April Durr with Healthy Alamance, and no, I'm not talking about buses tonight. I'm glad to be here tonight to talk about this issue that was recently in the Times News about the smoking policy. So I have with me a few colleagues and some residents from the area, and this has been an issue that many of us have been working on for a number of years. So first, I wanted to applaud you all for taking this issue and considering it, because it is a big one. The scientific evidence indicates that there is not a risk-free level of secondhand smoke. So whether you're inside or outside, that's certainly an issue of concern for our community. My second point is I would just like to offer our support. We have a current grant right now through the Health Department and through the Community Transformation Project that actually looks at this issue specifically, and it's one of our goals through several community coalitions in Burlington to kind of gather support for public places where secondhand smoke is a problem. So we have some funding that we could offer some assistance on signage and cigarette receptacles and things of that nature. But I would encourage you all, while you are considering this, to take it a step further and possibly include some language that would cover other areas, such as our parks and our recreation facilities. These are areas where children with asthma are often recreating, folks are visiting games that might have heart conditions, and this is certainly an area where we could also have some exposure that would be significant. So I know this issue has come up in the past with the smoke-free restaurant law, and I would like to report that since that law went into place, it's now been 2 years, we've seen a 21% decrease in the ER with heart attack and people coming in with repercussions of those instances, and they have directly related some of that to the decrease in smoking in public places such as the restaurants. So I know the outdoor wasn't part of what you all were discussing, but I encourage you to consider that. I know a lot of taxpayer dollars go towards cleaning up our parks, where cigarette butts are the #1 litter seen in the park. So I would just encourage you all to consider that, and we are certainly available for help, for support, and to come to the table to work with you all as we have on other projects. So we're just really glad to be here. So thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Next, okay.
My name is Candy West, and I'm a resident of Burlington, and as April said, I would really like to commend you for taking this up, and also as an opportunity to be a little more stringent with the language of the smoking ordinance. Specifically, I would like to see some guidelines to restrict smoking on sidewalks. I know at the Burlington City Parade, or the Christmas Parade this past Saturday, my family, we were watching the parade and having a great time, but there were actually a group of smokers behind us, which makes it, quite unpleasant, especially if you're someone like me that has asthma. So that did cause a flare-up of asthma for myself. So I would just like to make that case and ask you to consider that. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else on the left side that would like to speak? Or on my left side, I should say. Anyone on this side that would like to speak? Please come forward.
Good evening. My name is Ray Cole. I live at 2024 North Crest Drive in Elon. I am a restaurant owner in Burlington, and I have my business. I've been there now starting my 7th year, and for the past, I think we're going on 13 months, because the place that's next door to me opened on Halloween weekend. I lost my first customer that I knew of December of 2011, and I have continued to lose customers as late as this past week, where people have come in, and due to the stench in my restaurant, they just walk right out. They'll say, well, I'll pay for my drinks and I'll leave. We've had quite an influx of restaurants into our county and to our town as the town has grown. Competition is very, very hard. I am grateful to still be in business after 6 years. But then all of a sudden this past year, this is just something that I just never expected. The law states you cannot have secondhand smoke in a restaurant. Evidently it was not specific enough. Today alone, I'll just mention that when I was listening to the news tonight before I came down here, they actually had a thing on TV where the airports are now looking into the fact that they would like to have no smoking in the airports because of the secondary smoke. The gentleman speaking stated what the state said, and that is there is no acceptable amount of secondhand smoke that can be tolerated as far as health reasons are concerned. I'm glad to see tonight I'm not alone. I really thought I was in this alone, and I'm just trying to survive. As you can tell by the color of my hair, I don't have many more years for a second chance. The money I have tied up in this business is it. As I said, competition is tough, and I'm grateful to still be in business. But I'm losing customers. I'm afraid to even advertise. I mean, why should I spend $300 and $400 with the paper or with coupons and everything to have people walk in my front door and go, I thought you couldn't smoke. I had one customer turn around and said, we love your food, but we thought you were letting your employees smoke in the back. I mean, I'm playing defense. I can't grow my business. And, you know, if I do, I lose my shirt. There's nobody to pay my bills after this. I have responsibilities, and I'm trying to fulfill them. I need your help. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else on this side?
My name is Harry Myers, and I live in Whitsett. Glad to be here, and I want to commend you guys. You have done this ordinance that you've come up with will work. It's absolutely workable. I like the way it's been done. In going through this, we talked about lots of different ways to do this, but this will work, and I commend you for that. I've been in his restaurant many times, and I've seen people walk out, you know, at least a dozen times with not because they can't stand the smoke. And you guys have actually come up with something that will work, and I appreciate it, and I hope that you will go ahead and vote on this and do it, because it's extremely important for him and for a lot of people that go into restaurants. And the law is very specific about secondhand smoke for restaurants, and there's nothing that he can do about it if you guys don't help him, and he needs help, and I would appreciate you doing that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Ann Castagna. I live in McLeansville, North Carolina. I've been in North Carolina now for 20 years, I guess, as you can tell by my accent. My mom and I go to the restaurant that Ray owns. We've been going there for maybe the last 3-4 years. My mom is 85 years old. I don't know if she wanted me to tell you that, but anyway. I want to keep her.
She's not very happy.
I think you're going to be walking.
But I'm driving.
Oh, you're driving.
I'm driving.
I got a feeling you're going to be walking.
She may have me walk. But the thing is this, we've been going there for 3-4 years, and we enjoy the food, we enjoy the atmosphere there, but I can honestly say for the last few months, we haven't been there as often as we did go previously, and it's because of the smoke. She can't handle it, I can't handle it, and we have seen people get up and walk out, and we have seen people whispering to each other, and probably about that. And I commend you for what you're about to do, and I hope you go through with it. And I agree with them. I didn't know this was going to be included, but I agree with them. I don't like the smoke either. I go to soccer games for my granddaughters, and it bothers me, and I don't even have asthma. So thank you for whatever you can do to help the restaurant and everyone else here.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else that would like to speak? Okay.
Good evening, gentlemen. I'm Suzanne Kylock of 7060 Crescent Drive in Whitsett, North Carolina. My parents were small business owners, and I grew up in the afternoons being in the business with my parents, and I know how important the patronage is of the citizens of the county and surrounding counties to the restaurants and small businesses of Burlington. We've been going to Ray's ever since he's been the owner of the business, and we really enjoy his food. And to be honest with you, if it was any other restaurant in town, I would not be going back to it because it has been that offensive on times. Once we started talking, I guess a few months ago, I just started taking count, and I personally have witnessed 15 counts since I started counting about 2 months ago of people who have walked out because of the smoke. So I think this will help tremendously in taking care of the problem, and we appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Come forward, Mr. Ryan. Good to see you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Barbara O'Brien, and I live at 974 Huffman Lane. And we moved very close to Tuscany. That's just about across the street. And we have come to absolutely love the food in this restaurant. And so we've been going for 3 years, pretty regular, and takeout. And my daughter has a wheat allergy, and Ray will fix her entrees with gluten-free noodles. And so we love what if you've never eaten there, you should. So we're really hoping that he can continue, and I'm a smoker myself, and I don't smoke indoors anywhere. And so I commend you too for considering this ordinance. And when the last 3 times that my daughter and I went to the restaurant, she began to feel queasy. And she would feel queasy for a little while, and it would pass mostly. We got to thinking about it, and we realized that those 3 last times were since the business moved in next door. So we think that may be the reason why. And that's just a personal experience. I just wanted to tell you about it. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am.
And happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, thank you. Anyone else on this side that would like to speak?
Move we close the public hearing.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Move we approve the amendment to the smoking ordinance as written.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Effective when?
Yeah,
Effective, what are we doing as far as education is concerned? Let's make it effective immediately and simply, are there citations issued for this?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, do you want to make it fair as far as for a learning curve period of time, make it so that you issue warning statements for a period as opposed to citing them for the money?
Well, let's, if we can, at the work session, it appears the way we would recommend going forward is the fire department will be involved in the actual education process.
Right.
To our knowledge, as of today, there's 108 of these restaurants in Burlington in multi-tenant facilities. So the way the language reads, and Mr. Bateman, correct me if I'm wrong, it would apply to neighboring, the adjacent neighboring businesses.
In the same structure,
Same
and common
structure.
ownership, yes.
Now, so we would need to go in and educate each one of those neighboring businesses and let them know that this would affect them where they could not allow smoking in their facilities now, as I understand this ordinance as written.
Right.
What we would recommend is the fire department, we would actually get the stickers, the universal stickers that they could place on their doors at entrances in the facility, so it would be noted. Now, because of manpower situation, I think in terms of the actual implementing of the ordinance itself, in terms of citations, that would probably go to police, because fire is not cut out, it's not staffed 24/7. We really don't need to be running a 3-man truck to a complaint. It's to be complaint driven, so police would be actually issuing citations or responding to problems or complaints. Now, Mr. Bateman, I want to make sure too we realize that in these multi-tenant facilities, when there's a sidewalk in front of that building, this is not, the sidewalk itself is not covered under this.
Right. We're not allowed to regulate smoking on sidewalks.
That's correct. So it's the building itself, the actual adjacent buildings itself to the restaurant. So for 108, I think we need a little time to at least educate these people on what's expected. For example, I saw this today that there's another restaurant opening up in this strip shopping center up on Church Street, a Firehouse Subs. So that's, 2 more adjacent facilities there.
When you're talking about the education process, are you talking about the restaurants, or are you talking about the facilities?
From the facilities next door.
Next door, okay,
They're the ones going to be cited for this,
okay.
right under this ordinance.
Can they start with the first one being the one that's next to his restaurant? Can that be number one?
Well, it depends on when you want to make this effective, the ordinance effective.
I'd really like to see it come into effect January 1. That gives you enough time to go out and hopefully, not enough time, but some time to go out and start working on that. But January 1 would be my jump-off date for this.
Jay, do we have the records is that, can we do this in terms of making sure we reach these people by January 1, do you think?
Well, that would be something, it would be difficult to get it in that period of time with the other inspections and things that we have on the state mandated schedule, but, I mean, we'll do whatever we need to do to make it, if that's what the date, because it would be fair to everyone. We need to be sure we cover everyone, to be fair, that we don't do part of the city and not the other part. So, you know, as we're working out.
You've already inventoried, you got 108, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you're not doing inspections, you're simply going and
That's right.
doing an education process.
That's right, going through.
I suppose you have some materials to hand out.
We will probably, we have addresses we can mail. Do we have addresses of those adjacent facilities with ownership?
Yes.
Are you physically going out to visit each one, or you are?
Yeah, they're going to show up, and what I'm saying is, we have that staff, but then they have general inspections with the state mandated inspection schedule, and have to be completed by the end of the year, that they're working on, and have a lot of that done, but that's added in too, you know, fire investigations, all the other stuff that come into that.
Hey, don't you have two retired firemen that we could pay on an hourly basis to go out there and knock on doors and hand this stuff out over a period of 2 weeks?
That probably wouldn't be a good idea. We'd rather our staff, because they're going to be the ones out handling it routinely, so it would be better to do that.
Okay.
If you say January the 1st,
January
we're gonna
1st. I think we can find 3 votes to move January 1st as our date, so make it happen, and let's go from there. How about that? Thank you.
You mean go into law January 1st?
Yeah, go into effect January 1st. How about that? You guys, you all right with that?
Yeah.
So in the meantime, this fellow's got to go through the Christmas season and
I just think he's suffered long enough.
So what do you?
Well, I'd like to move it back. I'd like to move it back to December 1, you know, if we could, but that's not giving a fair opportunity to everybody to be prepared for it. If we could do December 1, I'd be for December 1.
Well, it's going to be complaint-driven, for one thing, and we're not going out trying to, we know basically where we've got problems, do we not?
If it's complaint-driven, we know exactly where our problem is located.
Well,
If that's the case, we could start December 1st.
Yeah, start in that area and just go December 1.
Make it effective December 1, let's
Yeah.
get on with it.
I can do that.
Second that.
Yeah, I can do that.
Is that an amendment?
Was there a motion?
I don't know if we ever had a motion, we just sort of forced some hands.
If I move to amend the ordinance to make it effective date December 1.
I second.
Motion and a second, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? December 1.
Mr. Mayor, let me mention one thing so we were all clear. As I understand this, and the two chiefs correct me, for a citation to be written, there actually has to be, when they walk into that facility, visual sign of someone smoking, or ashtray, or cigarettes in that building at that time. Is that not correct?
That's right.
Sure we know.
Well, that's, of course, Chief Williams and doing that, but when we were working on that and researching that, that's the state's policies and procedures, and I think it would be prudent to go with the same thing that they're doing. So they have to see someone smoking to do that, or the ashtrays. Just if they walk in someplace and they smell something, they don't have anything, but Mike,
I'm sure these guys are good enough and talented enough to pull it off.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to make sure it's from what we've been told by the state, it's not the smell, we've got to see it. Okay?
Well, hopefully everyone will agree. Thank you, men.
I think with the help of our local paper, start to word out with it, and our local radio station.
That brings us to the public comment period. We had some, but obviously all the people that signed up for public comment have spoken under the public hearing, so we'll move on to city council comments. Any comments?
I've got a couple, Mayor.
Okay.
First of all, I'd like to publicly, congratulate Steve Ross. It's really nice having our own representative, one of our own over in Raleigh. And Steve, we wish you the very best, and please remember us when you go to Raleigh. I'm sure you will, so.
I'm actually going to miss you.
What's your cell phone number again?
The second thing, Mayor, is I'd like to publicly congratulate you on being elected the second Vice President of North Carolina League of Municipalities.
Thank you.
As I explained to you, this is the second time we'd have an opportunity for you to ascend to the President's position. Bill Beeman was in 1972. I think it's a wonderful opportunity, and I think it brings recognition to the city. And again, congratulations to both of you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Again, congratulations to Councilmember Ross on his election to the House. Also, congratulations on becoming a grandfather as well.
That's the big thing.
Yeah, a big thing. The last 2 weeks have been very large for you, so congratulations. It also brings me to the point about the vacant seat. Obviously, we do not have a resignation in hand at this point in time, and that'll be up to Councilmember Ross when he does decide to write that letter of resignation. And so when that does take place, then we'll have that dialogue or conversation about the process. The process has already been advertised in reference to the way we do things if indeed we decide to even fill the vacancy. We always have that option not to, but those are the vacancy will be, we'll discuss that at a later date. Also, I'd like to also mention that the city offices will be closed on November 22nd and 23rd in observation of Thanksgiving holidays. Once again, Tony, great job on the holiday parade. It was wonderful, well attended, and we had a great time. Even had Mayor Pro Tem Huffman with his antlers on, so that was very exciting as well. If you missed that opportunity, feel free to go to the Facebook page, and you can see that darling picture. I bet his wife and children are very proud of him.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Also, it's time to be thinking about the retreat. We will have the retreat. We need to think about when we're going to have it, where we're going to have it, and the topics for discussion. So maybe the first meeting in December, we can narrow that down and have that dialogue as well. Also, congratulations, Mr. Harkrader. Last meeting, Mr. Harkrader?
Yes, sir.
Congratulations, a job well done, and I think that deserves a standing ovation. Job well done, and we appreciate your hard work and many years of service. Also, Mr. Kirkman, if you would, I don't know who the guys are. I do know Mr. Blake is one of the drivers for the trucks that get up the leads, and I'm telling you, they've done a great job this year. So if you could relay that information to them, we appreciate that. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful service that the City of Burlington offers, and thank you, and make sure they know. Any other comments?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
back to Ms. Durr's comments on Parks and Rec. That issue has been brought up in the Parks and Recreation Commission, and I would think, Tony, that's something that we would ask them to take a look at. That's some specific areas, maybe around bleachers or around playgrounds or something of that nature. If that's okay, and that could, if the council, if the commission wants to go forward with that.
They've already made a recommendation. I'll make sure that, I sent it to you earlier, but I'll make sure that you have a copy of it, because they did specify certain areas in areas for children gather, youth athletic fields, amusement park, playgrounds, primarily those type areas, not all over the parks, certainly can't do that, but in the areas where kids are mainly participating in activities or using the equipment.
Thank you, Mr. Laws.
It's good to see Tony back in his seat, feeling well.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And they got one thing. And Chief Williams, we want to invite the council out to do the simulator, don't we?
That's a standing invitation.
All right.
Mr. Walter, if you can add some input.
I had my time, but I want to go back.
Any other comments from council? If not, we entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Which, some